Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Hi, this is Yazad and I'm so glad you're here watching this video today. Just like many of you, I too grew up reading Vikram Betal, an ancient Indian story collection written over 1,000 years ago about a wise king named Vikram and a ghost Betal. The 25 short stories chronicle the adventures of King Vikram, who sets out to capture Betal at the behest of a sorcerer. The ghost lived in a tree in a graveyard, and the only way he could be captured was by remaining completely silent. However, every single time the king captured Betal, the ghost would tempt him with a story that ended with an intriguing question, the answering of which King Vikram just couldn't resist. As a result, Betal would re-inhabit the tree, and the king would have to set out once again to capture him. These stories made us think and reflect, but also went one step further. They made us participate in the story. At the end of each story, we could choose to answer the question posed to King Vikram, and in this process, it gave us an understanding of justice in society. But what we did not know when we were young is that every answer is not black or white. It can be all shades of grey. These old folk tales are even more relevant in modern society, where everything hinges on the grey and there are no simple black and white answers. Because the past, present, and future are not consecutive. They are connected in a never ending circle. Everything around us is connected. Life is all the grey areas. Very rarely are things just black and white, even when we wish they were and think that they should be. So, would you like to hear a story? Many years ago, a farmer in desperate need of money approached a money lender for a personal loan. The money lender agreed to lend him the money, provided that the farmer would mortgage his personal gold and jewelry to him as collateral. Left with no other option, the farmer agreed and handed over his family gold to the money lender as security against the loan that he availed. Many years went by, and it seemed like both were content with the continuing arrangement. However, one day, the farmer woke up to shocking news. The money lender had transferred the loan to a third party, and this new lender, in turn, had claimed the farmer's gold as his own. Now, just like Betal asked King Vikram a question at the end of each story, let me ask you one for this story. Who was at fault here for the farmer's loss? The money lender who transferred the loan to a third party, the farmer who lost his family gold, or the new lender who claimed the farmer's gold for his own? Who is the victim and who is the villain of this story? By now, a lot of people may have drawn a parallel between the moneylender and farmer story to the recent acquisition of a significant stake in NDTV by the Adani Group. Now, on the surface of it, most people feel that this is nothing more than shrewd maneuvering to acquire control in one of India's more popular news networks. But maybe, just maybe, there is much more to this story. After all, life is about the grey areas. And isn't it true that in the end, we will all get just what we deserve? Now, before we proceed, I know elements that I touch upon in this video are sub judice. My goal here is to stick to publicly available information and then leave it to you to form your own opinion on this matter. To truly understand the story, we need to go back to the beginning, because the end is the beginning and the beginning is the end. In 2008, Pranoy Roy and his wife Radhika, founders of NDTV, initiated an open offer for purchase of NDTV shares. In order to fund this open offer, RRPR Holding Private Limited, or RRPR, the Roy's promoter holding company, availed a loan of 450 crores from Indiabulls Financial Services Limited. To repay this loan, the promoters availed a loan of 375 crores from ICICI Bank. As collateral for both these loans, the promoters pledged their personal shares held in NDTV. Finally, the promoters repaid the loan to ICICI Bank by taking another loan in July 2009 from Vishwa Pradhan Commercial Private Limited, VCPL, a company said to be associated with Mukesh Ambani. While the Ambani loan came free of interest, there was one crucial clause to the arrangement between RRPR and VCPL and its affiliates. If the Roys were unable to repay the loan, VCPL had the right to purchase a total of 29.18% stake in the equity shares of NDTV from RRPR at a fixed price of 214.65 per share. Interestingly, the loan was repayable on the 10th anniversary of the drawdown date, that is July 2019. But even after due date, surprisingly, Ambani never exercised the right to own the shares. Instead, out of the blue one day, the Roys were shell-shocked to find that the loan had been transferred to Gautam Adani, and he in turn had immediately exercised the right to take ownership of 29.1% stake in NDTV. The acquisition, if it goes through, will trigger an open offer for the Adani Group to buy another 26% of the TV network, essentially meaning that they would become the majority holders in NDTV. Does a story always have to have a protagonist and an antagonist? The conflict between protagonists and antagonists has represented the heart of many of history's most compelling tales. But in the corporate world, there is no clear-cut one-sided good versus evil battle, but rather complex characters with their own strengths and flaws. The cycle of loans and miscalculated bets have haunted the network and its promoters since 2008. In 2007, Radhika and Pranoy Roy decided to buy back a 7.73% stake held by another shareholding entity, GA Global Investments. As per Indian stock market regulations, this triggered an open offer which allowed other shareholders to sell stake up to a prescribed limit to the promoters at the same price. And this is where the Roys made a move that was possibly responsible for all that has transpired. As they were short of money, they decided to borrow funds through their promoter group company RRPR to buy back their stock in the open offer. The loan marked the beginning of a chain of borrowings that finally came back to haunt the Roys, resulting in Adani launching a bid to take over the company recently. Was it a wise decision for a reputed promoter to buy back shares by borrowing funds from the market at exorbitant rates? As per reports, the Roys were paying an obscenely high interest rate of 19% to ICICI Bank for the loan. Now we know with the benefit of hindsight that this loan could not be repaid. In fact, it was transferred from India Bulls to ICICI Bank to finally VCPL, an allegedly Ambani-owned company. It was never repaid by the Roys themselves. The terms of the loan from Ambani were quite extraordinary. First, the Roys were required to divest a major chunk of their personal stock in NDTV and transfer it to RRPR before being handed over to VCPL. Radhika and Pranoy Roy curiously sold their shares to RRPR at 4 rupees per share when the market price was close to 140 rupees. According to the VCPL RRPR arrangement, as per reports, it gave VCPL the right to convert the loan into 99.99% of RRPR's equity, effectively meaning complete ownership not just during the period of the loan, but even after, without requiring any further act on the part of the lender. Puzzlingly, this meant that regardless of repayment, VCPL could officially take over RRPR at any time it wanted. For all practical purposes, this was a transfer of control to the extent of 29.18% of NDTV to VCPL. NDTV could not sell or raise further equity, file for bankruptcy, or do anything that would affect RRPR's shareholding without VCPL's consent. A simple reading would suggest that these conditions ensured the Roys no longer had any control over RRPR, which owned nearly one-third of NDTV's stock. Effectively, if one goes purely by what has been reported already, it seems the Roys had already lost control of their company to Ambani back in 2009. Can you imagine Mukesh Ambani giving anyone an interest-free business loan? It's possible, but then could it really happen? Strangely, as per the agreement entered between Ambani's company VCPL and the Roy's promoter company RRPR, a loan of 403.85 crore was provided by Ambani at no interest. Surely there must be some logical explanation. Now no one but Ambani can answer this. But let's speculate for a moment on what could have been the reasons for this. First, this could have been part of Ambani's broader strategy to consolidate their position in the media industry. As per the terms of the agreement, even though there was no interest payment from the Roys, Ambani was effectively in control of NDTV. Ambani may have realized that the Roys had dug themselves deep into a hole and would never be able to repay the loan. Hence, the idea was to probably take control of NDTV down the road, as VCPL had the right to officially take over RRPR at any time it wanted. So why didn't Ambani exercise his right and take over NDTV in all these years? To begin with, it is possible that Ambani may have changed his mind due to NDTV's poor financial performance. After all, NDTV has made profits in only 6 of the last 19 years, with accumulated losses close to 350 crores since 2004. However, it needs to be noted that the company's recent results have shown promise. On the other hand, the Networth 18 group has been consistently profitable. After providing this loan to RRPR, Ambani did turn his attention to the much larger Networth 18 group rather than NDTV. In 2014, Reliance took over Networth 18. And then there is also the matter of the SEBI order against VCPL, the Ambani-owned company, in 2018. In its order dated 26 June 2018, SEBI stated that the loan provided by VCPL to RRPR had resulted in VCPL indirectly assuming a controlling stake in NDTV, which was done in violation of their takeover norms. SEBI noted that the takeover exercise has been conveniently couched as a loan agreement. It further directed VCPL to pay 10% interest on top of a takeover fee to the former shareholders of the company. Although the Securities and Appellate Tribunal, SAT, dismissed SEBI's orders in favor of Ambani in July this year, it has been reported that SEBI is expected to challenge the SAT order in the Supreme Court. Hence, one can assume that it may not be a coincidence that just a month after the SAT order, Ambani sold off the stake to Adani, hoping that the matter is not pursued once he has cut all ties from NDTV. The Indian news media industry has not exactly been a hot sector, and any new investment for commercial reasons may not look very feasible. The total size of the sector, including newspaper, digital, and news channels, is relatively much smaller as compared to the other industries in which the Adani Group has made mega investments in recent times. Hence, it makes one wonder, why is Gautam Adani interested in a sector that is struggling to grow its revenue? Again, only Gautam Adani can answer this, but by now you know we will speculate anyway. The Adani Group's venture into media may not make a lot of commercial sense on that basis, but it starts to make sense when one considers the non-commercial benefits. There is a lot of value to be had when one can control the narrative. Of course, one cannot be sure whether the venerable editorial team of the NDTV group can be swayed. Another reason could be that this is just another step in consolidating Adani's media ventures. In April this year, Adani announced incorporation of its subsidiary, AMG Media Networks. The group's foray into the sector is likely to be big, as it is eyeing to partner with international media outlets to launch its own products and acquire significant stakes in local publication houses and news channels. Hence, for Adani, it seems almost logical to buy out smaller players such as NDTV to build a formidable portfolio in his media group. Earlier in March, Adani had acquired a 49% stake in Raghav Bal curated digital business news platform Quintillion Business Media Private Limited for an undisclosed sum. But coming back to the Adani saga, one key question remains unanswered. Why would Mukesh Ambani agree to sell his stake in NDTV to Adani, his billionaire rival? There are more such questions that will have to remain unanswered. In this story, for me, it is difficult to tell if there really is any victim or villain. What about you? Thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope you all enjoyed it. Please write in with your comments and your views on this story. We would love to hear back from you. Thanks once again for watching. Goodbye.